How's it going, everybody? This is Joey here at Underage Packers, and as we are now a few weeks into the NFL free agency period, I wanted to talk about a few names that are still out there that the Packers could sign to add some new talent to the roster and make sure they are secure with where they are at before the draft next month in April. So I tried to pick three names at all different levels of free agency. A high-end name that the Packers might have to throw a lot of money over, a veteran who might want to chase a ring, and then kind of a mid-tier signing just for depth. So I'm excited for this video. I'm excited for this offseason to continue and the Packers continue to improve their roster. So let's start with player number one, who is my depth piece signing, if you will, and that is Riley Reiff, the offensive tackle who was with the Cincinnati Bengals last year and was also with the Vikings and the Detroit Lions. He is 33 years old, so he is old, but he is also a veteran. He suffered an ankle injury in December of last season, so I'd assume that's why he is still on the market. But the Packers have a big need at the right tackle position, both right now and also for the future plans. You look at the rest of the offensive line, and they pretty much have a guy who they can rely on now to be a starter, and most of them are young. You have Royce Newman at right guard, you have Josh Myers at center, two rookies from last year, and then you have, of course, Elton Jenkins at left guard / left tackle / center, and then you have David Bakhtiari, who is under contract for at least the next 3 years, and hopefully he makes a full recovery from his ACL injury. But right tackle is the only question. They've had Billy Turner there the past few years, and they released him this year. They had Dennis Kelly there as a depth piece last year, and I think that's actually the move I'd prefer them to make to re-sign Dennis Kelly. But for the purpose of this video, I wanted to bring in an outside name. So Riley Reiff isn't going to be your future starting right tackle like Elton Jenkins, Royce Newman, and Josh Meyer are at their respective positions. But even if the Packers do end up drafting, and hopefully they do end up drafting a right tackle in the first 2 or 3 rounds, they still need a veteran there. You look at Royce Newman, who, although he was the starter for the whole season last year at right guard, it took him pretty much all the way through the season until he wasn't a liability at right guard. Having a veteran at right tackle to develop your young guy you have behind him would be massive. Great value for the Packers. And just to be a stopgap guy. I know a lot of people would be opposed to that, but for Riley Reiff, who's 33, still out there on the free agency market, dealing with an ankle injury, I think this is a pretty good position for him to be in. For number 2, I'm going to go with Julio Jones. This is a big name, and the last one will be a big name as well, but obviously everybody has been campaigning for the Packers to sign a wide receiver, so they have a wide receiver one. And obviously there's going to be a lot of people that are demanding they draft a wide receiver in the first round. But Julio Jones provides a lot of security for that. Like, once again, could be a stopgap for a young guy, but also just the fact that you don't want to force yourself to have to reach on a wide receiver on day 1 or 2. If you have Julio Jones, you at least know in your mind, we have somebody if all goes wrong, instead of being at pick 22, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, any other guy you like that it would make sense to pick at 22 or 28 is gone. Instead of having to reach for somebody because you have nobody at wide receiver, you have Julio Jones, or you have another veteran wide receiver like Jarvis Landry. I just went with Julio because I think he best fits what the Packers need at the wide receiver position. He is 33. Hasn't played a full season in 2 years, so I get why many Packers fans would be cautioned about this signing, a little hesitant to be fully on board with this, but they really need that veteran wide receiver, and really the only other options out there for that clear wide receiver one would be, OBJ, Will Fuller, Landry, who is reportedly asking for $20 million per year, or a Devin Funchess type is a name that comes to mind. So Julio is just the name that I think best fits for the Packers, has the connection with Matt LaFleur, and I think would be a great player for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. And for my last player, I am going with the defensive tackle, Akeem Hicks. man, whenever it was asked on Twitter, if you could have one player from any NFC North team on the Packers, who would it be? My answer was always, without a fail, Akeem Hicks, every single time. 330 pounds, an absolute game wrecker at defensive tackle. He is 32 years old, has suffered some injuries in the past few years, so I do think the Packers would be able to get him on the cheap end. And you couldn't, at this point in his career, you could not put him in the position that you have with Kenny Clark over the past few years of making him play every single snap. He would be more of a role player, but that's all the Packers need him to be. Putting him in on obvious rushing downs and goal line situations. So I would love Akeem Hicks, 330 pounds, 32 years old, but still would be a great add to this Packers defense. Get Kenny Clark some help. I do know they signed Jarran Reed. We'll see what happens with him, but you can never have enough defensive linemen, and you can never have enough offensive linemen. Those will always hold true. So I'd love to see Akeem Hicks, Julio Jones, and Riley Reiff added to this Packers team. But that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that like button if you did, and follow Underage Packers on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we'll talk to you later. As always, go Pack Go.